Hi, welcome to Tech Room powered by Loctech. I'm your host, Akilachi KJ, but you can call me the resident Texas. Tech Room is powered by the Loctech Training Institute. It's a corporate social responsibility of Loctech. Now it's a TV program that brings information technology education to our community's doorstep. We do this at Loctech because we believe that everyone, regardless of financial status, gender, should have access to information technology education. Welcome to Tech Room. Welcome back from that very short break. On today's episode, I'll be speaking with the manager, Hope, and she'll be telling us all about what Loctech Training has in store for kids and teens this holiday season. Welcome to the show, Hope.
Thank you very much.
Welcome again, because you've been on the show before. It's good to have you again.
Same here.
All right. Tell us exactly why should parents choose tech skills over any other skill that a lot of service vendors will be offering this holiday?
Thank you very much for having me once again. Now the thing is, the world has gone very digital, and I think everyone should learn one or two digital skills because you might not know where you find yourself tomorrow. You see children at age 4, they've started coding already, and so you wouldn't want your kids to be left out by the school curriculums and every other things. Tech is actually the way right now. So parents that wouldn't want their children to be left behind when it comes to coding, when it comes to robotics, when it comes to building applications, this is like the right time to start training them. So for the duration, the kids just have a month for this long vacation. So we've structured our syllabus in a way that it's going to accommodate them for this 1 month. So for this very 1 month, learning is a continuous thing. So that's not just the end of their adventure into tech. So there's like a phase. So next holiday, they take up from there.
From where they start.
Yes, to another phase.
So don't let your child always be the one playing the game. I mean, they can grow up to start being the ones developing the games and earning cool cash, right?
Definitely. During the course of the summer, which is commencing today. Today is 29th of July, so the training is commencing fully. So it's about 3 hours, and then we have recreational activities as well. Yes, where you come in, we have basketball, we have table tennis, we have different game activities. So learning
and
with fun. Yes.
Many thanks to you, manager.
Thank you very much
for being on the show, on this segment of the show today. I hope to see you again next time.
Same here.
All right. Welcome back from that short break. It's still Tech Room, brought to you by the Loctech Training Institute. We're easing in gently now to our learning segment on today's episode, delving into the world of user interface, user experience, popularly known as UI UX, but some people still call it product design. Welcome to the show, Olens.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Olens, you're a UI UX designer, right?
Yes, I am.
Talking about user interface, user experience, product design. What exactly are these things? What exactly does it mean, and what does it cover?
Well, actually, the field of UI UX is broad, and it's a really fun field, because it has to do with not just design, it's not just the graphics, but it's also the psychology behind it that gives me the flavor that I love about it. It has to do with understanding your users and making sure that the product or the digital product that you're trying to design or create, it suits their needs and solves their problems effectively. So you're trying to make sure that the visual design, that is the overall interface and the looks, works together with the interaction, how it functions with the users to achieve that goal.
Get your note-taking materials because right now we're heading to the classroom with Olens.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Olens Asinobi, and I'm an instructor at Loctech IT Training Institute, and I'm going to be taking you guys on the course of UI UX for the next 4 weeks on this segment of the Tech Room Show. Okay, for today, we're going to be introducing ourselves to the field of UI UX, or as some people call it, product design. We're going to be covering the myths and the truths about this field because we've noticed that many people have gotten many misconceptions about what this field is all about. So for us to get started, we need to first find out what UI UX is all about. So let's get started. What is UI UX design? Well, UI UX design is actually a combination of two different fields called user interface design and the user experience design. These two fields are also related to the visual design and interactive design respectively. But of course, it doesn't just end in the visual design and it doesn't just end in the interaction design. There are more to it. But the thing is, the combination of these two into one is what we get, is what we call product design, and that is where product design is coming from. But the pointful thing there is that many people has many a times conflicted the meaning of this. People think that UI UX is actually just UI. When you ask them, they start saying that UI UX is the designing of websites and the designing of mobile apps. But in truth, that is just the UI aspect. So what about the UX? For us to be able to understand this, we need to first find out the difference between UI and UX, which means the difference between the user interface design and the user experience design of a digital product. Because we need to remember that in the field of UI UX, we are just working on digital products, from mobile apps, landing pages, websites, to games, interfaces, and so on and so forth. So what is the difference between the visual design and the interaction design? Firstly, what is visual design? Well, visual design aims to improve a design's or product's aesthetic appeal and usability with suitable images, typography, space, layout, and color. Visual design is about more than just the aesthetics. Designers place elements carefully to create interfaces that optimize user experience and drive conversion. Yes, the thing is that there's a similarity between visual design and interaction design, or user interface and user experience. The similarity is that both of them aim to achieve usability of a digital product. But visual design does this on the scale of the physical appearance. That means visual design takes care of the looks. How does it look like? The combination of the elements, the layout, color, and imagery to give you that aesthetic appeal. But it doesn't just end there. Visual design also makes sure that your design is also usable. Your app is useful, or your website, or whatever the product is useful to the prospective users. But why is this visual design so important? Well, researchers have found out that the first impressions of users typically form within the first 50 milliseconds. So that means if they look at the design within that small time frame, if they don't like what you show them, what they are seeing in those moments, they will leave. So that means visual design is a very vital part of your work as a designer, because many people mistake it to mean that designers include attractive elements just to maximize an item's appeal. Actually, you use visual design to create and organize elements to lead the user's eyes to an item's functionality and make the aesthetics consistent. So you have to notice that when you're creating a design, it's not just how it looks, but you have to make sure that your design is also passing a message to your users. Your design should be able to capture your user's first impression just from the first glance. Take for instance this image that we're having on the screen here. You see, this is a cluster design. Everything is everywhere. Now, each of these elements individually, they have their own use, they have their own purpose. But with the lack of arrangements, lack of proper layout, you see that it's just looking like a bunch of jargons, bunch of rubbish. So that is how a bad or a poor visual design can affect your design negatively. You have to make sure that you use your elements in proportion to the right principles to achieve your goal, which is to ensure usability of your product. And you can't ensure usability, of course, if your users don't understand what they are seeing. That's why visual design is important. But like we all know, this is the definition that we all have of UI UX. But from what we've just seen, I just defined UI. What about the UX? Well, unlike visual design, interaction design is a bit different. But the thing there is that interaction design doesn't just focus on, UX design rather, doesn't just focus on the interaction. It does more. So what is this interaction design? Interaction design is the design of the interaction between the users and the products. Simple. Most often when people talk about interaction design, the products tend to be software products like apps or websites. That's where product design has come in. The goal of interaction design is to create products that enable the user to achieve their objectives in the best way possible. But like I said, UX doesn't just end there. Because we see that interaction design is how the user relates or interacts with the product, right? But it's not just that. How can you be able to ensure a proper or smooth interaction between your users and your products? So that is it. The overlap there between UX and interaction design is the users in mind. But the thing is that UX does more. UX involves the processes that ensures a smooth interaction. Interaction design is just focused on the action, while UX design then focuses on how you can get to that action. You have user research, UX research, that is finding out who your users are in the first place and finding out their problems. You have creation of user personas, why and under what circumstances would they use the product, performing user testing, usability testing, and so on and so forth. All these fall under the UX design. So you see that UX design is an entire process. It's not just the interaction between your user and the app, but it's an entire process to ensure the usability of a particular product. So you might have wondered, I've noticed that I've been mentioning usability quite a few times along this course. Yes, that is because usability is very important in UI UX. Now, the UI, the user interface designer, and the UX design all work together to ensure the usability of a product. It doesn't just end in the look, but the UX has to be as equally important. Because if you just focus solely on the visual design and you pay no attention or little attention to the experience, it's just like building a very beautiful house without any doors rather. So it means that house is just there, it's beautiful like what we see on the screen, but there is nowhere to access it, there's no way to use it. So your product has to be good looking and useful as well as usable. But the thing there is, what is the difference between usefulness and usability? Well, to illustrate, let's use the example of a carpenter. Now, we know that a carpenter has so many tools for cutting wood. So many types of saw exist for that purpose. But we are going to take two examples, the chainsaw and the crosscut saw. They both do a good job at cutting wood. No doubt, they are both useful. But imagine a scenario like what we have on the screen. You see a carpenter trying to roof a building. Definitely, he's going to need a saw up there to cut off excess wood. Now, which saw do you think will be the most ideal choice for him? Will it be the chainsaw or the crosscut saw? I'm sure we are all thinking the same thing. He cannot go up there with a chainsaw. But does that mean that the chainsaw is useless? No. It just means that at that particular point, the chainsaw is not usable. It can't solve his problem for him. But instead, the other saw does. So when we talk about usability, we mean that your product should be able to solve your user's problem, not just being useful. Well, the good thing is that as a UI UX designer, we focus solely on usability because a product that is usable is equally useful. So you shouldn't focus about the usefulness, but your aim in every design you make should be how usable is my product. So, because if your product is not usable, it is going to cause frustrations, and believe me, your users will not enjoy using your product. And when your users don't enjoy using your product is not needed, and then your work is futile. There's no point in what you've done. So that is why usability is an important aspect of user experience and user interface design, or like we call it product design. So in summary, we've seen that the UI design and the UX design of a digital product all work together to ensure the usability of a product. And now we've understood that usability means that your product is able to know and understand and as well solve the new problems of your users. But that brings up another important question. How will you know the problems that your users are facing? Are UX designers mind readers? It would have made sense if they were, but they are not. They have some specific skills or tools that enables us to be able to understand our users well. So I would like you to stay tuned. In our next episode, in the next video, we are going to be covering how to be able to understand your users. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's episode because I did. So if you would like to know more and learn more about UI UX, you can always visit us at our office at Aba Road. So this is where I draw the curtain for today. See you again next week.
And with that, we wrap it up nicely on today's episode of the show. You've been watching Tech Room, brought to you by none other than the Loctech Training Institute. I'll be looking forward to seeing you same time, same station next week. But remember, if you'd like to reach us, you can call us on 0703 888 5466, or you can send us messages, DM us on any social media platform. It remains at Loctech Training. It's your resident Texas signing out. See you same time next week. Bye-bye.